Meshell Baker is the Chief Confidence Igniter, transformational keynote speaker, and confident living catalyst who uniquely guides and encourages her audiences and clients to be their best and most authentic selves. She is described as a breath of fresh air and, quote, the power of her story combined with her passion and enthusiasm is enough to make anyone want to tap into their potential, unquote. She understands that many founders, business owners, business leaders, and sellers struggle with doubt, stifling their inner critics, and sustaining consistent growth. She is on a mission to ignite unstoppable confidence. I'm getting pumped here. In as many people as possible. She masterfully guides her clients to leverage obstacles as opportunities and re-envision their problems as possibilities. She is renowned for her authentic, value-based, and no-nonsense approach to high-performance resilience, inspiring more confident conversations which generate unprecedented results. Meshell has phenomenal reviews, accolades, and awards, has compiled an incredible track record of raving recommendations with clients such as UPS, Dell, Dorman, Wabtec, Women in Auto Care, Salesforce, Women in Tech, Accenture, Women in Trucking, and more over the past 20 plus years. I'm so sorry for her late start, but I assured her she will have an hour, regardless of when she starts. And I hope you will give her your attention and warm welcome to Meshell Baker. Whoops, you're muted.
All right, here we go. All right.
There we go.
So I am going to go ahead and get this party started. Can you guys see the slide decks?
We see, we hear you.
Yeah, Zoom has updated it. So I just see a black background. I don't see what you guys see, right? So here we go. What you can expect as you engage and pay attention to what we're about to experience is you'll envision more joy and delight. That's very important for a job search, for any search in life, is that you do it from a space of joy. Engage more with positive people, enlist your inspired actions, and expand your capabilities, right? So one thing about humans is we are limitless. However, sometimes circumstances have us believe otherwise. Now, what I want to ask you to do today is to engage in this presentation as a beginner. What generally happens as we go through life and we have formulated some experiences is that we think we know. We make assumptions, we make judgments based off of our past experiences, and the further along in life we go, the more this tends to happen. And the most powerful we are as a human being is when we step into something with an experience of unknown. When we go in with curiosity and not having any predetermined set of what it should be. So today, as you listen to me, it's going to be a lot of information. Our propensity or our habit is to say, oh my God, it's too much. It's a lot. I can't keep up. I can't take notes. Whatever you say, you will create. So if you just allow yourself to go, whatever I need to hear and take away, I will hear and take away and be able to implement something amazing. So as a beginner, be curious instead of judgmental. That's not just a presentation lesson. That is a life lesson. When you can be curious instead of judgmental, you will garner expansive opportunity versus limited experiences. Okay. So a little bit about myself. This is what I do. My sister is the center of how I became who I became. And I left a corporate sales job to step in as her live-in aid and caregiver. And as I've learned, I gave her this great gift of love and belief. That's what I was called to do. I literally heard a calling inside myself. And I did that. And I was given the gift of life, a remembrance that when I was 13 years old, I had 3 businesses that I had stepped away from out of my background. I was raised in a very urban, difficult area. I always tell people the story, alcoholic men and little girls don't always go together, mix well. So I ended up having my confidence and my self-worth shredded. So by the time I was 20, I was incarcerated. However, as I learned, I was always a great worker, and that's what garnered me more and more opportunity. No matter what I was given, I did it with excellence. I've learned I don't complain, I don't whine. If I'm given it and I do the absolute best, it will always expand. You have the ability in everything you do in life to either create an expansion or contracting. How you talk about it will dictate whether it expands. And that's what we're talking about today is maneuvering the unplanned and mastering uncertainty. People generally don't do well with things they don't understand, and they create a contraction instead of an expansion. Here's just to let you know that, why they brought me in, I do this all day, every day. Been doing it for 10 years now, and I'm really good at this. So pay attention. Now, as adults in business, we're told we're going to feel like this, like, woo, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be amazing. And this is going to happen. I'm going to have money. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to go on vacation. I'm sending my kids to college. I'm going to do all these amazing things. And when reality, job is hard. Life doesn't play fair. We get laid off. We get let go. Companies downsize. And so this is how we actually end up feeling, right? Most people, most of the population does not enjoy the work they do anyway, right? So it's always amazing, like people complain and then it's gone. And it's like, so again, it's how do I begin to deal with and maneuver the unplanned, the unexpected, the unpredictable, and the unanticipated. This is the crux of life, understanding that rarely does life ever go the way you think it's going to go. Rarely, whenever you sit back and take time to reflect, life has not gone the way you thought it would go. So your ability to master the experiences of uncomfortable, uncertainty, and inconvenience is everything. And I will say that again, uncomfortable, uncertainty, and inconvenience. That is life, period. You are constantly experiencing this. And until you learn to master it emotionally, mentally, until you can decide that no matter what happens outside of you does not matter, you have dictated and determined what your life is going to be, you cannot be malleable and adaptable to it. It hits you and it becomes a victim and an overwhelm, and it becomes, you start to get despondent, depressed, like you complain. That's what generally triggers whenever somebody experiences it. And how that happens is when the unplanned and the unexpected happens, people start talking about what's going to go wrong. Now, how do you turn that in your favor? It all begins with a big dream. And this is the most amazing thing that I've learned. This is research. This is data. You can go research. And I don't give stuff because I want you to get curious. Your power is your curiosity to start to follow the thread and start going, I wonder about these things that I'm going to start to show you. And it's what you're saying. So when you have a big dream, right, what happens is the circumstances will immediately come against that, because a big dream requires big person. And in order for you to be able to adapt to whatever comes your way, is you building inside of yourself this ability to, no matter what happens, to say, I'm still going to have a big life. I'm still going to have amazing outcomes. I tell people the simple math in life is, if you want something incredible in life, you must be incredible. You must take incredible actions. Most of the time people talk about how they want or what they want, but the math ain't mathing, right? They talk about they want something amazing. And then when you ask them, what's the last time you did something amazing? Most people have done nothing amazing. They've complained and talk about what they can't do, what they don't have, how unfair it was, how they were victimized. However, you rarely hear people talking about the last thing they did that was amazing, and despite the circumstance. That's the conversation that you must begin having to create incredible outcomes. And on a job search, as I tell people, this is not easy. You right now, with all the tech and everything that's happening and all the different things that people are looking for, keeping yourself in the belief that you are worth it, you are worthy, and you are deserving, and that anyone who hires you, they get a gift. So you're not trying to get a job, you're showing up to bless a company. That's a whole different mindset. This is what I teach people. When you get a client, whatever you work at, wherever you go, you're showing up as someone who has value and they are fortunate to have you. You're partnering with an organization to bring the value, your experience, your resume, all of that to them. So that takes away the desperation of, oh, I got to get a job, right? You're aligning with an organization. So again, what are you hearing yourself say about the circumstances? I got to get a job. Nobody's hiring me. Nobody's out there. Or versus, you know what? I know something's going to come, and whatever it comes is going to be absolutely amazing. And I'm going to be a gift, and it's going to be wonderful. And it doesn't matter if it's not, because the whole point of life is it's a lesson. You get better and better every time, right? If it's not the best one, you still learn at the next one, and then you get better at the next one. So that's the goal. The goal is not perfection. The goal is repetition. Repetition is the mother of all success. So the big dream for today, as you're taking notes or if you're taking this in, BIG is the acronym. I try to make it as simple as possible so your mind will reflect and remember on this later on. You'll be somewhere and you're like, oh, what am I believing, right? What often happens is when circumstances, remember, when we're uncomfortable, uncertain, and inconvenienced, we begin to believe that circumstances are working against us. So we begin that trash talk of complaining, of talking about how unfair it is, talking about what shoulda, coulda, woulda happened, right? One of the words I eliminate from the language of myself and my clients is should. There is no should. It's not a real word. If you go look up the definition of it, you'll see it's one of those tenuous words that could mean anything. So instead is, what do you believe? What do you want it to be? So again, instead of thinking about how hard it is, how difficult it is, you want to start to talk about what you want it to be. Whatever we speak about, the words out of your mouth, you will always bring about. And you're only speaking about what you're thinking, and that's your mentality. So your mentality is your reality. Again, I'm saying a lot of things. I'm saying them fast because your mind is capturing all of this. And I'll tell you a little bit more as we go. But trust me, you will remember this if and when you need to remember it. An example, this is one of my favorite stories that I remember. Right? Everybody knows this. If you don't, Roger Bannister ran the 4-minute mile in 1954. Before him, nobody believed it was possible. Everybody, like, a human being can't run a 4-minute mile. It's impossible. It can't be done. As the whole world knew it can't be done. Remember, they used to think the world was flat, right? Columbus was going to sail and fall off. Everything that you're attempting to do that feels impossible it's not. There's nothing that's impossible for a human being who believes, who envisions in their mind. Everything great that has happened in our lifetime, in the span of humans, was done by someone who believed otherwise, despite the circumstances. So until you decide unwavering that that job that you want exists, and that you hold that in your mind, regardless of the circumstances, the people, anything that happens, the delays, the denials, the dissuasions, the deterrences, the distractions, until you can hold that image in your mind, unwavering, unrelenting, you will not find it. That's all. Like, you have that ability. We've all been given that gift. Most of us have not been taught it. And what I'm telling you, I did not grow up learning this. As I told you, my background, I didn't grow up in a house where anything good happened to kids. We were taught to not be seen and not be heard. I used to ask myself, why did you have us if you don't want to see us or hear us? Barely wanted to talk to us, right? So again, how I became who I became is there was something in me that was greater than me that I decided to believe and go about learning how to make it a reality. You believe that in your job search, you believe that there's something that's going to afford you a better life for you and your family. Write it out and you become unwavering. Do whatever you have to do, no matter what, to feed the belief. Whatever you feed, you breed. So if you keep feeding your complaints, you will keep having problems. Okay? So next slide. I want you to just jot down something that would make this year absolutely incredibly amazing. And it doesn't have to be related to a job. It could be a vacation. It could be, you want to renovate the kitchen. I don't care. You want to go on a trip, but write something that seems so out of possibility right now because you're looking for a job, and everything we do is tied to money. But if the dream job came along, it would be your reality. Jot it down. And you will get access to these slides. So if you need to go back and ask yourself these questions, I'll give you a link that you can download this slide, get access to these slides afterwards as well. So the next thing I want to tell you is that every human being has anywhere between 20 to 70, 90. There's all these numbers on thought. So I'm just kind of putting it in the middle. What that means is that we are constantly thinking about things. Our mind is moving like 90 miles an hour. It is constantly distracting us. And with all of the social media and all the advertising and all the emails and the phone calls and the texts, you have all these thoughts running through your mind, and the thoughts trigger imagination. So once you have a set of beliefs, and your beliefs, believe it or not, are locked in, your belief system is locked in when you're 7 or 8. If you have not sat down and created a big, hairy, audacious dream for your life, for yourself, you are following a blueprint that was given to you by people who probably did not go where you want to go or have not been where you want to go. So rewriting what that vision of your life and your job and your family is everything. And then following it is the next thing. And because what that does is once your belief system is locked in on something, your imagination is what starts happening. Whenever you have an experience, your experience triggers emotions. And emotions in human beings are actually fed by fear. 70% of our emotions are triggered to fear. Have a 70% propensity to think negative because our brain is reptilian. Our brain still thinks we're in a cave. We need to be warm, safe, and cozy. Your nature as a human being wants to go home, kick back on the Barca lounger, drink some soda or beer, some chips, and go to sleep watching Netflix or whatever TV shows you like. That is what makes us feel good as humans. So success is the antithesis of your human nature, right? Success means being uncomfortable. Magic only happens outside the comfort zone. That's why mastering uncertainty, inconvenience, and being uncomfortable is absolutely necessary to have sustained success, right? And so what happens is when we don't master that, we get triggered by that unknown and we go back in fear. Oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. You start to think something is going wrong. And this is, you freak out, you panic. When the reality is fear or that feeling is just telling you you're going out the comfort zone. You can rewire your body to start to believe that there's something amazing is going to happen. If you've ever felt fear and felt excitement, if you've ever been on a roller coaster, for example, you capitulate between fear and excitement. Or if you're like me, you just stay in fear. I don't do roller coasters, right? It's just straight up fear for me. However, that experience is going between fear and excitement. The biological response in your body for both are exactly the same. It is the imagination, it's your thoughts that hold the history of those feelings that trigger you to keep repeating history until you train your body that that feeling is going to create a favorable outcome. You will always keep repeating the past. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got, period. So until you tell yourself that, oh my God, something exciting, literally, this is what I teach my clients. When you start to feel fear, stop and go, oh my God, I'm outside the comfort zone. I expect something amazing to happen. It feels ridiculous. And repetition is the mother of all success. Mastery by the Eastern principle is 10,000 hours or 10,000 repetitions. The reason most people don't have what they want is because they give up. So if you start trying to, they give up because they don't see the results. They give up because they look and compare to somebody else. They give up because they don't feel it. Feelings are fickle. Successful people, anybody who is a top performer in any industry has learned that they focus on their will, not what they feel. Your feelings are fickle and they will change in a drop of a hat. If somebody told you you won $1 million, everything you feel right now would change in an instant. That tells you feelings don't matter. What matters is what you believe, and focusing on building the habits, becoming so ingrained of who you're going to be. What kind of manager will you be? What kind of supervisor? What kind of employee? Start thinking about what it's going to be like first day at work. What it's going to be like after a month at this new job. Think about what they're going to do in your first performance appraisal. When you start to operate as that person, you remember you're not going to remember, this may be the first time you heard it, your imagination, your mind does not know the difference between a real memory of something that happened yesterday, last week, 10 years ago, and a vividly imagined future. The struggle with humans is we spend more time talking about what happened in the past instead of talking about what's going to be amazing about tomorrow. So whenever somebody starts complaining to me, I listen, I restate with that. So what I hear you saying, what I hear you feeling, and I always ask them simply, what do you want it to be? What would make this experience amazing? You know how most people are shocked? They never even think about it. That's why you can't create it, because you're not thinking about it. You're not talking about it. So until you start talking about what is going to make this job search amazing, it won't be amazing. It's going to be hard. It's going to be arduous. And if it's hard and arduous and it's difficult, why do you want to do it? You won't do it. But when you just say every no, that, no doesn't mean not never, it just means not now. If they tell me no, so what? They don't get the blessing of Meshell. You don't get the gift of me. You know how many times people tell me no, they don't want to hire me to speak? I just got a no this morning. Just got an email that they decided not to hire me. All right, move on to the next one. But until you remember, 10,000 repetitions and 10,000 times makes mastery. It took me lots and lots of years and lots of no's where no doesn't bother me. The problem is people don't build, you have to build up, right? Remember I said your body holds the memory. So my body held the memory of no. So when I would hear no, I would internalize it. I would personalize it. Right? I would be victimized in it. No more. Because I started talking myself through. First, I couldn't talk. I had a coach, right? I had a phone a friend. I did whatever it took till I started to reimagine that no doesn't mean not, it doesn't mean not never, it just means not now. It's a redirection. It's not a rejection. I'm being redirected to the blessing. That's all. That's it. And the blessing always shows up, always shows up. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, right? That's what you're going to feel. So belief, what do you believe about your job search? And then what are you imagining as you are doing the daily activities? Start your day imagining this is going to be the best job search day ever. This is going to, I don't care if like everything else has been the pot. If you begin today, you can change tomorrow. You must start right now with what you have and do the best with what you have to create something better. If you keep talking about, like, people love to go, when I tell them this, they love to go, but I'm like, there's no buts in belief. As soon as you say but, you don't believe. Because when you believe, there's nothing, the only thing that exists is the belief. Remember, Roger Bannister. And if that doesn't work for you, you go find someone that you look up to that did something absolutely incredible, amazing, and ridiculous despite the circumstances. You print that picture out, you slap it on your laptop, you put it on your bathroom mirror and your refrigerator door, something that every time you walk through and you get up, it reminds you that no matter what, I'm getting this amazing job. Whatever it takes. And when you click on this, I'm going to give you some tools. So write down something write a recent unexpected challenge you faced that went wrong. So think about something that recently went wrong. You could write it, you could think it, but just jot down something that recently went wrong. Right? So I'm going to keep going. Now, when we think that something went wrong, we're saying, I can't. Right? Oh my God, I can't do that. That's wrong. And can't is, as I tell people, it's an acronym. It means that our conditioning accepts negative thoughts. So I thought it went wrong. So the conditioning of my upbringing, the conditioning of my environment, the conditioning of my experiences has taught me to feel that that experience was wrong. I tell people right and wrong are only two ways. If you believe in, oh yeah, I have that little thing. Right and wrong are only two ways. And if you believe in a higher power, I call my God, you can call it God, universe, divine, Buddha, Allah, the source, the genie, goddess, whatever you want to call it, and understand that there's something greater out here than us, right? And I always tell people that source, for me, my God, is infinite, unending, and unlimited. He that is in me is greater than anything in this world. If he don't run out, neither do I. That's what I start every day reminding myself, no matter what, everything is working in my favor. And I say, thank you for it all. So what I do is I believe I can. And what that can does is my creativity is actively nurtured. That despite the circumstances, I see favor in it. I see possibility in it. I see opportunity in it. Because there is no can't. If he can, so can I. He's gone before you and made a way. Everything. You are not set up to fail or look bad. Every experience that you're having is growing your character and the quality of who you are. Remember, we don't grow character as human beings in good times. When you're sitting around at the barbecue, I'm saying barbecue because most of us are going to be hanging out doing something on this holiday weekend, barbecue life, right? Some kind of get together possibly. But we don't grow character in those times. Character is forged under fire and stress and disappointment and layoffs. And that's when our character is meant to grow. The problem is people don't have character because they haven't made the deposit. Right? Confidence and character is a deposit, a daily, right? I tell people character, quality, success, confidence, all of that is rented and the rent is due daily. Most people don't pay daily rent, so they have no deposit. If you go to the bank to get $1 million, if you haven't made deposits, you can't get $1 million. If you haven't established your character of who you are, you can't get a loan, right? Or a line of credit for the $1 million. That's the same is true for our faith and our belief in the midst of circumstances. It is a daily activity. Every one of my clients establishes a non-negotiable morning routine. If you do not master your morning, you will not slay your day. They start their day dictating who they will be in the face of circumstances. And I coach them through how to, regardless of circumstances, to be who you've decided to be. Right? We have approximately 86 to 100 billion neurons in our brain that are constantly interpreting our external circumstances. And until you give that a North Star, a target, your big, hairy, audacious dream, your legacy vision of who you're going to be, what you're going to create in your lifetime, until you give it a North Star, everything outside of you will distract you. It will trigger you with emotions. It will create doubt, overwhelm, anxiety in you. Everything you need to know is inside of you. And until you tap into that, everything outside of you will control you and drag you like a bit. Like, you know how that horse has a bit and they pull the horse? That's what most human beings live a life of running around, putting out fires all over the place instead of igniting the fire within. So the last letter is gratitude. So you write out your ideal job. and you rest on that. You remember, as you write out the job, you understand who you're going to be, the gift you're going to be, because it's not about you getting a job, it's about you being a gift to the organization that you go work with, right? And once you do that, then your imagination, you're reading this, you're creating a daily routine of how you're going to engage with this belief. And then you just say, thank you. See, that's the trust. If you truly trust in the omnipotence of God or your higher power, then why are you doubting? Why are you questioning? Why are you complaining? This is faith. Everything is working in your favor. See, what I teach people to do is create a bubble. So I have a bubble of, like, I'm igniting confidence. That's who I am. So I have this bubble of awesome. So anything that comes in to me that's not awesome, I just get curious. I'm like, why are you here? Why is it here? There's only two reasons. It's a lesson or a blessing. I'm either learning something, how to really refine, define, hone my character of being awesome, or I'm here to bless that person. Because, see, I know who I am. I'm a gift and a blessing. I'm the gift of confidence. So if you're coming to me and you're counter to that, well, that means that something's wrong with you, not Meshell. Right? But what most humans run around doing is allowing everything outside of them to dictate who they are, instead of you determining who you are, and then you give that to the world. That's what makes somebody valuable, when you're unwavering and unrelenting in being a blessing and a gift. That allows you to be grateful, because you know that nothing outside of you is going to deter the vision of what you were given for a life of excellence and abundance. And I tell people, when you operate in excellence, it intersects with abundance. Mediocrity has never met abundance. They wouldn't know each other if they passed each other on the street. So when you're grateful for everything, that's excellence, that's obedience, that's love and trust. Am I making sense? And this gratitude, peace that passes all understanding, is what happens when you operate in this. It's not an easy place to get. This takes work. I'm going to tell you, it's worth it. You have the opportunity every day to say it's awful or awesome. And you can tell by how you feel what you say, what you're telling yourself, what you're saying to yourself, whatever, until you get the voice in your head. Remember, 86 to 100,000 neurons that make up the imagination, which is the voice, the conversation that's constantly transpiring in your head all day, every day. Until that conversation, that voice in your head starts to speak favorably to you, your life is a nightmare, because everywhere you go, there you are. The one person that you can't get away from is you. So why wouldn't you make what's transpiring in here joyful, abundant? Nobody does. Like, I'm going to tell you, you heard my background. I didn't learn this. I have actually taught my mother and my father, right? The expectation is they should know, right? There is no should. There is only reality, what you make it. So when you master feeling uncomfortable, uncertain, and inconvenienced, and determine that those are just indicators for you to see what's next, to get curious, to get excited, to live in wonder. That's why I'm showing you kids. Children are the greatest at wondering. They ask why. They're curious, right? The fact that you think you can't, or you think this is hard, that was conditioned into you by adults and the circumstances around you. Kids don't know they can't. They are taught they can't. Children think there's infinite possibility. They've shown, you ask a kindergarten class who they want to be, their hands go up. I want to be an astronaut, movie star, right? Business, like they think the world is their oyster. It's infinite. All the hands go up when you go to kindergarten. By the time you hit like around the 5th grade, most of the hands won't go up. People are too embarrassed. Kids are too embarrassed. They've learned, they've been conditioned to be embarrassed about what they want and who they want to be and the possibility. You get to high school, you probably won't get anybody to answer barely. We don't spend barely any time as a child. Most of our life as an adult. The challenge is most people don't raise adults, they raise kids. I keep telling people, stop raising kids and start raising adults so they can be prepared for the reality, right? And that's what's happening to us now. Most of us probably weren't raised as adults. We were raised as kids. So the emotional struggle of what's happening feels overwhelming. Well, it's time for adults to start adulting. They didn't give it to you. You must give it to yourself. And the way you give it to yourself is you decide what you want and you do whatever it takes, no matter what, to change your body, change your mind, to start to believe that this is inevitable. I always tell people, God, universe, whatever you want to call it, is not a man that he should lie. If he gave you the vision of a great job, then stop doubting it. Start doing whatever it takes. Begin first thing in the morning of conditioning your mind to believe that there is nothing impossible. And the trick for this is to stop looking for results. The problem is people want to, oh, it's not happening. The goal isn't for you to get the external. The goal is for you to create the internal belief, the unwavering faith. So what you're looking to do is to become unstoppable. And that only happens is when you do it without just consistently. It's an integration that changes your identity so you can't not do it. If that makes sense. You guys will have a chance to ask questions. So I'm wrapping up so I can get you guys to questions. So rewrite that. So you had a challenge that we talked about earlier that was unexpected. And I want you to rewrite it and think about what would have happened? What would have felt like if it was amazing? What if it would have worked in your favor? What would that have felt like? Because see, even though you experienced it and it was something that you didn't want to, it happened and you didn't want it to happen, or it was something that was difficult or challenging or disappointing, it's just a lesson. And the way you get the blessing from that lesson is to imagine the next time I feel this, what do I want it to turn into? See, people don't practice taking what the difficult experiences and rewriting them. Like a reflection. So if you see, I do this fabulous Friday thing every Friday, and that's all we do. We go through the week, look at what went well, what was challenging, and we rewrite all the challenges to experience favorable. And I do that every single Friday. And everybody who is stuck with me for extended period of times, life has turned around because they're retraining and rewiring their brain to expect the unexpected, to look for things to work in their favor. All right, so dream big. This is an example of why I talk to people about creating those unrelenting habits. 2018, I did the New York City Marathon. Now I'm fluffy. I tell people I've been fluffy my whole entire life, right? So the goal was that I would get a habit and I would be skinny. Obviously, you see my little cheeks, it didn't happen, right? But what I got was much greater than that. So I actually, for 10 months, the person who worked with me, the coach who worked with me, she had me every morning. I imagine what it would be like, because when you cross the finish line, they put a medal over you, right? The marathons, they put the medal on you. So every morning I would get up and I would visualize for getting that medal. I started with Couch to 10K. So it's the app on the phone and it tells me walk, run, walk, run, walk, run. And I was doing it 6 days a week. It was absolutely incredible because eventually I remember one morning I ran like 35 minutes nonstop. And I was like, oh my God, right? Because I just followed. I didn't think about if it's working. I just knew it would work. It had no option because God gave me the vision that I was going to run this marathon. Reason being is I used to live in New York between 5th and Madison, and I would actually watch it on the Today Show. And then I would go out and see the lead runners because they literally ran down my street in Harlem. So I didn't even realize until someone said, what's your great health goal? That was my great health goal. I said it out loud in a group of people. I want to run the New York City Marathon. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that out loud. Too late now, right? It's out there. Turned out there was another woman in the group who was building a elite athlete coaching. And so I was her beta, coach me for free. Like everything works in our favor when we believe. So what happens is I trained, I got to the New York City Marathon. It took me 8.5 hours. Now, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, not an elite athlete, and I did it around 18 miles. So a marathon is 26.2 miles, right? And around 18, was 18.8, I saw the mile marker. My hip flexor started to go out. So I'm walking like this. I'm in pain, right? Instead of my mind telling me I can't, because I had fed it the vision over and over. So what you're preparing, practice makes you prepared for, it's the deposits that I put in every day. So when I hit the wall, my brain fed me back possibility. It fed me what the desired outcome was. It did not deter me, derail me. It didn't start thinking doubt. It fed me out the whatever I needed to keep going. So the first thing I remember was I thought about POW soldiers. So POW people who went home, and it was probably, I would listen to podcasts, I would read books, I would look at reels, YouTube videos. Like, so I was constantly feeding myself stories of people who overcame difficult circumstances. So my mind fed me back the stories I needed in those moments. The first one was POWs, and it remembered that the people who had a vision of going home and something greater, they could endure the pain. So I heard that, and I was like, okay, you can endure the pain. It reminded me I can endure, right? POWs are for years. You're going to be finishing by the end of the day. Keep going. So kept going. So about 20 miles, it's really pain, right? Starting to get worse. It's hypothermic first Sunday in November in New York. I mean, I'm freezing. It's dark now. You know, all the screaming people are gone, right? I've been out here for hours. The next thing I remember was Navy SEALs. So I remember reading or hearing something on Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs are taught that when your body gives out, you still have 40% left. If you have your mind is in a state, you have 40%. So whatever you think you can't do, think in terms of 40 more percent you have left in your body. Whenever you think you've given up, just do that. So I did math, 20 miles, 6 left to go. So I was like, oh yeah, that's good math. We keep going. So I kept going. So I'm rounding around the park. So finally I hit the park, and along this time, there's people who keep coming by. You turn corners and there's New Yorkers out there with peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, oranges, and just surprises. Everything I needed would show up. Like somebody will walk with me for a little bit and talk to me, and then they go on. It just kept showing up, no matter, like, it was just amazing. And I'd be by myself for a while and something would show up, turn a corner, and it just kept appearing. Felt magical. So I hit the park, and I was just so excited because I saw the park, right? Because you go through the 5 boroughs, you start in the park, you get to the 5 boroughs, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then somebody came walking past me and was like, only 2.5 miles to go. I didn't need to know that. I just needed to know I was in the park. It just felt so far at that point. What I saw in that moment, what I experienced, and I validated it, what one of my colleagues or his wife saw it too. Because you're going down in the park and there's this rock formation above you. And at the top of the rock formation, I saw the apparition of Harriet Tubman. And in that moment, I remembered, and I keep a picture on my wall as well. I remember that my ancestors walked to freedom in dark, and they weren't getting the medal. There was no light. There was no apples and orange slices and peanut butter sandwiches quartered and handed to you, and water surprises. They were under the fear of death. Many had no shoes, didn't know where they were going, didn't know how long they were walking. And at that moment, I had all the strength I needed to finish because I had the DNA of them. Every one of us that are here in the United States come through people who came from difficult circumstances to land in this country. We all have the DNA. We are not that many generations from people who were building log cabins or coming across here in boats, living difficult lives. We have just gotten so accustomed to ease and easiness. In order to create anything great and amazing, you must go through the fire. You must forge your faith. You have incredible, insurmountable strength that exists inside of you when you ignite it with a big dream. Something so big that it wakes you up in the morning. Something so big that your doubt gets crushed. And lean into that every day. We think small. You think about a job and your bills. That's too small. You've got 90 billion brain cells targeting one little thing. Give it something big to work on so it can ignite. The bigger the dream, the bigger the faith that you create inside of you. And I say this to people all the time, and I crossed it. And so I see that medal. It, like, if I'm ever in doubt, what I got from that was not skinny. What I got was unstoppable confidence that anything that I'm given, all I got to do is keep focusing. It won't happen in my time. And as I said, God, universe, creator, whatever you want to call it, it's not a man that he would lie. She, he, they, whatever you want to say, not a man that they would lie. Once you have the vision, provision will be made as long as you feed your belief in your faith. All right. So whatever that is. Now, what I wanted to share with you guys before I go to the next slide is, I hope this has been helpful. How you help me, and I'm going to give you Q&A time, is how you help Meshell and how you get the slides. And I've also added to it an affirmation tool so that you can begin to rewrite your words and see what negative words or speech looks like and what the positive replacements are. And you can edit it accordingly. And I'm sending, and so when you do this, you'll give me feedback and you'll get the link to that. And that's powerful, because what we speak about, we bring about. And most of us have not been taught to speak about our circumstances in a powerfully favorable way. It seems disingenuous. It seems fake, right? The reality is that I'm searching for a job and I don't have a job and I have bills. The reality is whatever you say it is. That's the conversation that doesn't happen in most households. What you speak about, you bring about. And I'll put it in chat. Let me see. Everyone, I have the link. So you can click the link. I just put it in chat so you guys can click the link. And then this is just to wrap it up, and we'll do Q&A. The winner is you. You are the winner. Like, remember, there's hundreds of millions of sperm to one egg. You won. We're already a miracle at birth. We don't talk about that enough, right? That we are already. So accept change as normal everyday occurrence. The constant is change. Your ability to adapt and be flexible in the midst of the unplanned, the unexpected, right? Sudden and unanticipated. Think it's not a big deal. It becomes a big deal because you say it is. So whatever you say, it can't be anything but what you say. So when you go like, oh, all right, I wonder how I'm gonna handle this. I wonder what this door is about to open. Yeah, because you know what? I'm awesome and I'm amazing. So not only awesome and amazing things happen for Meshell. Seriously. Allow your emotions to focus on favorable outcomes. Remember, your body holds the history of emotions. So you are being triggered to believe that this is bad. You can rewire your body by affirming that it's something new. So the download that you're getting for amazing affirmations is to help you start to rewrite what you're saying to yourself, right? Whenever you feel triggered, you must teach your body to start to believe that things are going to be favorable instead of lean into the problems. Affirm others and support their successes and struggles, right? When we begin to be affirming of other people as they go through difficulties, instead of one-upping, like somebody has a bad day, what I mostly hear people do is like, oh my God, let me tell you what happened at work. Oh my God, let me tell you what happened in my job. It's just a one-up of awful. So you're generating more problems. You're generating more negativity instead of going, oh my God, that sounds like that was challenging. So what would you like it to be? Or, how are you working so that you can turn that around in your favor? Change the conversation to something more positive, more affirming, more powerful. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you. Well, we just keep living in the to you instead of the for you. and always be learning, growing, and improving. I tell people, you want these great jobs and you want this great success. Are you investing in yourself? What's the last book you read? What's the last online course you took? What's the last certification you went for? They got free stuff everywhere, right? You got the University of Google and the University of YouTube. Like every day I listen to something and learn something new. I listen, like the stuff I say, I can say it 10,000 ways because there's no such thing as I know. If you knew, you do. And every time you hear it, you're hearing it again. 10,000 times of repetitions. Just repeat. Repetition is the mother of all success. Repeat on repeat on repeat. Right? Oh, that was supposed to have that little QR thing. See, this happens when you late night slide. I call this late. I always, whenever I do slides late night, I always end up missing something somewhere. All right, we'll go back and leave it here. All right, do we have Q&A?
I have something I'd like to say. This is Kathy. It's a good example for you. It's my little sister who is a PhD mathematician. She got laid off after 26 years with a pharmaceutical company. And so it's like, oh my gosh, you're 61 years old. That's bad, for looking for a new job. She lives in Palo Alto, the most expensive city and the most expensive state in the United States. It's all these problems. And so I click into job search and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to be hard. She's going to have to do it. And I'm going to help her. And she's not putting up with any of that on her own. She's not looking for a job doing that. She's looking for a job, probably temporary, using her data analytics skills, applying for jobs. Money doesn't matter right now. Working for political things that need data analysis. And so she says, I'm not unemployed. I'm saving democracy. And so she's going to put that on her resume at some point, that what was your job title? Saving democracy. And she's going to talk about applying her data analytics skills to whatever nonprofit she gets hired by to do that. But she's completely changed around, and you can't talk to her about being unemployed. She says, I'm not unemployed. I'm applying for places to save democracy. This is how I've defined myself at this point in my life.
Yes, you're not unemployed. You're transitioning. You're in a transitioning period. Remember, whatever you say you are, you are. I'm between opportunities. Like, reword it as something that is moving you towards and in the direction of where you want to go. Remember, the words are power. It's our thoughts are not real. It doesn't become real until we say it and act on it. So what you speak about, you bring about. So what I tell people is, speak what you seek until you see what you said.
Now, here's a question, and everybody else who has a question, either put it in the chat or unmute.
Yes.
Unmute and ask her. You talked about how important it is that you manage your mornings. And so what many of us do in the morning is we, on the radio or on TV, we listen to the news, or on our phones, we listen to the news, and news is 90% horrific. So do you advise people not to do that in the morning, not to do that at all? What is your advice on managing your morning?
Absolutely excellent question. Yes, what I encourage my clients to do, or actually what they're required, so I won't say encourage, like my clients are required to create a morning routine. The amazing thing about the work is we go through my program with Coaching 101. I'll be starting groups in July. If you're interested in a group, definitely stay connected to me, because the groups will start in July. But yeah, they're required to do 15 minutes in the morning. Now I have a download that they go through, and and you can actually find similar on, if you know, Hell Rod's, what is it? Morning Miracle or Miracle Morning, the savers, right? So it's those things that you do in the morning. So picking and curating your own morning routine from that list. And it's 15 minutes is less than zero. 0.01% of your day. And I explain it like this: if you are not willing to give yourself 15 minutes in the morning, then you do not want what you say you want. It's a lie. You're lying to me. And by week 3, they don't even have to tell me. I never ask them if they're doing their morning routine. I can tell because you will begin to transform between that 3rd week and that 4th week. You start transforming. It's the consistency of the practice that will start to elicit and draw out of you the confidence, the resilience, everything your heart desires about what you've been looking for outside of you will start to be curated and draw out of you with the consistency of the practice. And that's what I always tell. And savers is, I can't remember savers. I know it's affirmations, scribing, which is journaling, affirmations, visualizing. So that's the imagination. Remember I told you when you visualize the outcome. So it's that, it's exercise, it's reading, and I forget the last S all of a sudden. But yeah, so you can Google savers from Morning Miracle. You can go to Amazon and buy Morning Miracle. It's an Audible. You can probably go to YouTube and find an excerpt or a cliff notes of it, right? The highlights of it. It's everywhere. And I encourage people, like one of the things that I have, let me see if I can grab it. Yep, it's over here. I moved it. So this is something, because I love Joel Osteen. So I read this. It's one of the things I do. And my morning routine constantly adapts because our mind, the unconscious mind, is smarter than us. So you'll never have anything. It won't stay static. You'll start to evolve. You'll learn when, as the time, you've got to start to add something new or change something different, because it won't give you the same burst of faith and energy and enthusiasm and belief. So it just means that it's time to start switching up, because you and I, all of us right now, this is 10% conscious mind. The thing that controls every decision is your unconscious. The voice in your head that's looking at the thing on my head, looking at me, like it's judging and making decisions. It's communicating with you right now, reminding you of all the stuff you have to do, you didn't do, you should do, you need to do. That controls 90% of your decision making. Until that voice becomes your best friend, there's problems. And the way you make it your friend is how you start that time in the morning, dictating and giving it, feeding it. And it doesn't happen. It's a shift over time. It's a very slow shift. It's the consistency that delivers the confidence. Remember I said confidence, resilience, success, all of that stuff is rented, and the rent is due daily. You're making deposits because you don't need it till you need it. And without the deposits, you won't have it.